Hear me in the World Vibes Radio. Why they my youths, yeah? Not take no talkie. Be careful of some places where you walk. Some no know God, them no read Bible. Then we shoot you down with them rifle. Do not bring no guns, come to town. It's World Vibes, tell them leave that at home. Them better bring love, come to town. It's I say spread the joy around. World Vibes Radio. Not the king this, you know. Let's go and teach your youths them. Play some good music. Educate them.
Diaspora connection said too little love in this world, mankind. And I said too many war will only complicate the time. Yeah, man, Kabbalah for Jamaican with brother Joshua. More life, more blessing. How you doing out there? Stay connected.
Yo, check this out. This is Anthony Cruz, and you don't know it's the Diaspora Connection featuring Kabbalah for Jamaicans with Joshua. Keep it locked, no man. Blaze it hot. Anthony Cruz said that.
Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll climb any mountain, swim the deepest sea, searching for my love that was prepared for me. How is it taking so long? Ooh, be so long gone. Why can't I be the man I wanna be when Jah has ordained that I should be free? Well, we not lose. It's the Father's road I choose. Though friends may let me down, Jah will let me wear His crown. We not lose. It's the Father's road I choose. Though friends may let me down, Jah will let me wear His crown. How are people so bad? Why we're living so sad in this world of a fantasy? They don't want to see reality. It is taking so long. When they live as one, God has given everything for you and me. We don't lose. It's the Father's road I choose. The friends made it tie down. Jah will let me wear His crown. We don't lose. It's the Father's road I choose. The friends made it tie down. Yes, Jah let me wear His crown. Yeah, what glory it will be when my Savior I will see. What glory it will be dwelling up in ecstasy. Glory it would be when the children of Jah will see victory. Glory, oh sweet glory. Lord, I climb any mountain, swim the deepest sea. Knowing victory is mine, it's only a matter of time. Why is it taking so long? When will this battle be won? I've been working hard for Thee, oh Lord. When will I get my reward? We not lose. It's the Father's road I choose. The friends may let me down. Jah will never let me down. We don't lose. It's the Father's
This is reggae music, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rockers. Tell me how would you, tell me how would you, just think. Would you like to have the world all to yourself and nobody else but you alone? Would you like it if you have all the gold and space, but alone in this place, not even a sound? Now tell me, how would you feel after using your gun and you kill, and you're the only one that's left on to yourself and nobody else but you alone. Would you like it if you have all the boats and planes were without end but no friends? Now just imagine you wanna go out dancing, would like a little conversation, but there's no one. You got all the money in the world, but guess what? There's no girl. Can't you see no man is an island? So wouldn't you? I'd rather come together and stick like a stamp to a letter and make this world much better, trouble-free for you and me. Why don't we just come together and stick like a stamp to a letter and make this world much better, trouble-free for you and me.
Forward, pull up that.
Lord have mercy. Whoa, well. Me burn a fire upon a week at Babylon and the free talk could have never get me down. And though they tried to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. Me burn a fire upon a week at Babylon and the free talk could have never get me down. And though they tried to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. The work goes for so long on them plantation, and me never get paid. Or gold they stole away, how many life them slay. Now them works and slap them in them face. Why are yes, you and your crew can go to well, cause after we know under you colonial spell, and all those false doctrine that you compel. Hey, and all those books you stole away, all those kids you led astray. Wait on your judgment day. Bobby wrong, me burn a fire upon a week at Babylon and them free talk coulda never get me down. And though they tried to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. Me burn a fire upon a week at Babylon and them free talk coulda never get me down. And though they tried to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. See ya, get to youth me, I beg you be wise. Cause pirates and we strike by night. I want come trick you with them black and white. Whoa Lord, hey. But be careful what you sign, cause some things get you victimized, and it will get you paranoid. So burn them out, fire burn a week at Babylon and them free talk coulda never get me down. And though they try to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. Me burn a fire upon a week at Babylon and them free talk coulda never get me down. And though they try to use me and abuse me, I leave them with the frown. Boy, 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 see I know the work was for so long on them plantation, and me never get paid. Or gold they stole away, how many life them slay. Now the works they slap them in them face. Boy, them and them crew can go to well, cause after we know under them colonial spell, and all those false doctrine that they compel. Yeah, well, all those books they stole away, all those kids they led astray. Well, wait on your judgment day. This and the time man, fire burn out. Just say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. I tell the mass if you remember that, that's all I am doing with I am. Well, they say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. to them for remember Jah. That's all I am dealing with. I am. See ya. Some man a sing bout. Oh, them boss love bout. Them forget Jah and put them woman up front. There's a time and a place for everything. Whoa. See them a talk about. Oh, them fire them gun and a talk about. Oh, them boss got lean. But I don't have no time to mingle and sing. Cause I say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. And tell the mass if you remember Jah. That's all I am doing with I am. Yes, just say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. And tell the mass if you remember Jah. That's all I am doing with I am. Remember, oh, just Saint Jonah and Elijah, Moses and Noah, Martin Luther King and Marcus too. Well, they never falter. The man they do them works and they move on. So I know they have been learned. I and I must carry on the words. Wow, just say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. I tell the man if you remember Jah. That's all I am dealing with. I am. Just say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. I tell the man if you remember Jah. That's all I am dealing with. I am.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Diaspora Connection featuring Kabbalah for Jamaicans. I tell you, if there's ever an anthem for this program, it is this, Luciano's Messenger.
I come up to teach, so you better learn. You better love Jah and live.
Tell them!
Give all the love you can give.
Right.
Prepare to move on, cause this place is not your own way. Whoa, whoa. Hey, just say I have a messenger to teach you about roots and culture. And tell them that if you remember Jah, that's all I am doing with I am.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. That is all I am here to do, my friends. That is all I am here to do. Well, welcome again, everyone, to another episode of Diaspora Connection featuring Kabbalah for Jamaicans. My name is Joshua, and I tell you, I'm so very thankful that the Creator has awakened within me my true purpose. As a young Christian growing up, when I was in my early 20s, somehow I knew that my studies would one day be used to teach. And 20 years ago, or more 18 years ago, when the wisdom of Kabbalah was presented to me, I knew that this was my mission, to bring it to the people of Jamaica, which is mostly a Christian state. And with my knowledge of the scriptures, being able to share with people the true wisdom and to help them to understand the falsehoods in Christianity that become a stumbling block. My intention is not just to point out the holes in Christianity. My intention is to bring people to the truth. Because the psalmist tells us that those who want to worship the Creator need to worship Him in spirit and in truth. Not misconception, not fables, and not lies, but in truth. So our mission here is to expose the people of Jamaica to this ancient Israelite wisdom known as Kabbalah, which Moses received on Mount Sinai. It is based upon the teachings of the Old Testament, primarily the 5 books of Moses, which is called the Torah. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. In fact, on Saturday, we just read the first portion in the book of Numbers, which is the third book of Moses. Fourth book. Numbers is the fourth book of Moses. And it's important because, unfortunately, most Christians don't really know their Bible that well. They mainly know the New Testament more than the Old Testament. And that is a mistake. It is a huge mistake. Because the Old Testament is the foundation. And remember, God's word doesn't change. So when there are concepts that are presented in the New Testament that are not in alignment with the Old, people won't understand that. So they'll accept it as truth without questioning it. But fortunately, as a young Christian, I questioned a lot of things. For instance, why don't Christians observe the Passover? When the Creator clearly says that this is something that we should observe throughout all our generations. But Christianity does not emphasize the observance of Passover, nor any of the Israelite holidays. None of them. And hence all the secrets have been thrown out. They've thrown out the baby with the bath water. And they've said that all you have to do is believe in Jesus and you shall be saved. And my question is this: saved from what? What are we trying to be saved from? From hell? That is not our destination. In fact, Jesus himself said, "He who goes to heaven is only he who first came from heaven." So if you think that heaven is your destination, if you want heaven to be your destination, guess what? You have to already understand that that's where you came from. And if it's heaven you came from, then you are not born of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And as John chapter 1, verse 10 through 14 tells us, those are the sons of God. Paul, in Romans 8:19, says, all creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. So then where does Christianity come from by saying that Jesus is the only begotten Son? What does that mean? Why do they make it seem like he is the only one that's divine, but we are earthly and adopted? No. You must understand where you came from. You must understand your pedigree. You must understand your parentage. Because that's the only way. It is through proper identification is where the strength and the energy comes from. I want to welcome to our program tonight Brother Sean, Brother Peter, and Brother Akash. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening.
Blessed love.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, man. Greetings, Akash. Greetings, give thanks. Give thanks. Aye, give thanks.
There we go.
Well, we're here again. And I tell you, I have an energy today that I didn't have yesterday. And guess what? I still haven't eaten. I haven't eaten since Sunday. I have not eaten food since Sunday. And today is Wednesday.
You mentioned yesterday that you're doing a prolonged fast. And we kind of went over it quickly. But how's that been for you?
You know, Akash, my wife and I went to Dubai in February of this year. We went to a conference, a Mind Valley conference. I don't know if you guys have heard of Mind Valley, but it's a group that specializes in self-improvement. And the leader of it, his name is Vikesh Lakiami. And I met some people over there and became a part of a subgroup. And one of the things that they taught is about fasting, intermittent fasting, and how that is very good for your body. So the group decided that we would help each other to go through these fasts. So the fast is you fast for 18 hours and eat for 6. I think it's something like that. Yeah, so that's 24. And then after you eat for the 6, you go on another 18-hour fast. When I first did it, I did the first 18 hours and then ate within the 6. But then the next one I did 48 hours. I tried 2 days without eating. Now, you can drink. And I blew past it. Mind over matter. I didn't feel hungry at all. And then I had an energy that was amazing. Never. Imagine that. Getting energy from not eating. Right? And I've come to understand that we eat far more than we need to. Far more. So, since, Sunday, I mentioned to you guys that it looked like I had picked up a stomach virus Sunday, because before Shavuot, which was the all-night study and prayer connection in the morning with no sleep, my stomach started to bother me before leaving the house. Akash, you remember? And I threw up. And then, got to the center and, didn't really have the energy that I normally have, but, got through it. And I threw up like 3 times at the center. And then when I got home, I threw up again. So all in all, about 5 times. So I said, you know what? It's a cleansing. This is a cleansing. So I decided to just not eat for as long as my body doesn't tell me to eat. And since Sunday, this is that's 36 hours. Going on 36 hours, 3 days, well, more than that. 3 days. That's 72. Yeah, 72 hours. I would have never thought this possible. And that is why, Jesus himself said, right? Certain miracles that he performed, he says, only through fasting and prayer can those things happen. So, if we ever want to get to that level, we need to practice. Bring the body under subjection. Right? So that's the lesson. And I'm proving it to myself. So, Baruch Hashem, I'm really happy. And I encourage anybody to try to do the same. Mind over matter, my friends. Mind over matter.
Constant practice.
Yeah. Practice. So, all right. So,
Josh.
yes, brother. Can't hear you, Peter.
I just found some school. I don't understand why you can't hear me.
Go ahead. I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
We can hear you. I guess he's not hearing us.
We had him for a second.
Yeah. Peter, you there? All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. The internet here keep chipping in and out. Okay. They found some scrolls, some that pertain to our diet and how we eat, right? And it shows that we fasted more than we ate. Yes, we back in the days, we may have ate like 1 or 2 meals for the week, and we may fast 5 days and then go back and eat some more food because we knew how our bodies were and what we needed that would last a day or two or maybe three. So we didn't really eat that much,
Really?
giving our organs a chance to repair them. Yes, giving our organs a chance to repair itself. Not only that, it helps to enhance our spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes,
yeah, because
that's what
if
it
you're
is.
away from the body, if you're not paying attention to the body, then hopefully you're paying attention to your soul, right? Wow, I would like to know where you found that information. It would be wonderful to take a look at it.
I have been dabbling into just a small portion, just the notion to say if you fast a certain amount of days, what it will do for you. And I have experienced change because this 3 meals a day is really
Too
foolishness
much food,
because
man. Too much food.
yeah, because listen to this. This is a fact.
Way
All
too
right.
much food.
When you eat breakfast in the morning, it's a natural fact. It's going to take at least 24 hours for that food to leave your body. So your organs are working for 24 hours just to get rid of that. Then you go get lunch to put on it, right? Then you go get dinner to put on it. So your organs are working 3 times as hard.
Oh boy.
What most people die from? Non-communicable disease, cirrhosis of the liver, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, and blocked arteries, and all of these things, and they're
Food
attributed,
related.
yes, the food related.
Yeah, man.
No, in Genesis, when the only thing I eat is fish, and I've been like this for 51 years. In Genesis, God said, I give unto you the herb bearing trees and the fruit tree, and you must partake of these as if it was meat.
That is true.
The only reason where meat came into play, based upon my analogy of the Bible, is after the flood,
After the
when
flood
there
of
was
Noah, that is
no
correct.
yes, when there was no vegetation, and man got crazy and started to eat everything, and God said, hey, hold on, you can eat of this and you can eat of that. Don't touch that, don't touch that. And those laws were, but normally we were not created to eat meat and drink blood from no animal, no way, shape, form, because it goes against our natural state of being. Our natural state of being is like a battery, a car battery, and we need to be charged by the natural things that have electrolytes and all of these things, alkaline food, and all of these things to charge us to. It don't make any sense. We pray one way spiritual and we weak physical. It doesn't work. It does. We have to be very wise. Certain things we have to cut out of our diet so we can live longer. You understand? That's what make Methuselah. They found out damn things among the scrolls where they said something to do with Methuselah and all of them are people who lived long.
Yeah.
You ask yourself the question. And Moses lived, for example, and Elijah lived for 500 years and he begot children. What was he doing all these time? What was going on? There's a different aspect. There's a different aspect of this whole love making thing. It's a different story now. However, we have lost touch of the true meaning because the charge that we will get from it's really deep now. The charge that we will get from the male and the female, the yin and the yang, the supernal and malkut and everything, is a very powerful charge more than the temporary one that we receive at the time whenever we're doing whatever we're doing. And this is what keeps us so long and let us live long. Yes, because this energy that flows between us during that time, if we could channel that energy for our good and for our spiritual enlightenment, thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. And instead of an external feeling, you have an internal one. Yes, you have an internal one, not an external. So you gain that strength from her, she gain that strength from you, and the both of you becomes charged full. And you live longer. Our avatar, our avatar Whenever we get in that state, our avatar is geared up for creation. That's what our avatar is geared up for on the physical realm. Our avatar
What are you
is
calling?
geared
What
that
are you calling the avatar?
our bodies, our spacesuits. Our avatar is geared when we get into that mood. Our avatar is just totally geared up to for creation, to create a child. Yes,
All
no,
right.
no, no. There's
So let me. So in the Hindu faith, okay, the term avatar means something very different. An avatar is a person who has reached nirvana, right, and has
mhm,
decided to come back,
mhm.
not being subject to tikkun, right? In other words, like how Jesus was resurrected from the dead, he came back to life, right? Um, Actually, you know what? There are some people who are suggesting that Jesus actually never really died, right? But um, put himself in a state where people would think that he died. In other words, that they're saying that that's one of the things that he learned when he was studying in the East. He
The
learned
Torah
he
spoke about that,
learned
yeah.
he learned
It, it,
from
it-
Babaji, right?
yes.
And when he was on the cross, he gave up his in a place where samadhi, right? There's a state of bliss called samadhi where you can leave the body. And it says that when a person reaches a certain level and they obtain their soul, they've overcome everything that there needs to be overcome, right? Means that they own their soul now. They can go in and out of the body whenever they want to. So it's interesting. I just heard this about like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, and I said, that's quite possible. Maybe that's one of the things he did, because being raised from the dead is not a peculiar thing, because the great Rabbi Akiva, who was the Kabbalist during the time of Jesus, had 24,000 students. And in order to be one of his students, you had to know how to raise the dead. Okay? So Jesus was not unique in his ability to raise the dead, as was shown to us in Scripture. But because, Christianity did not promote or understand or reveal any of the teachings and the writings of the Israelites, right? Apart from the Old Testament itself, we would know about these stories. We would know
They,
about the
they,
great
they,
things that Rabbi Akiva did.
Josh, sorry for a second.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing, if we read carefully what the scripture said, even in Acts 2, yes, on the day of Pentecost, even in Acts 2. Now, Christ was at a state of consciousness where the word DEATH could never take hold of that one. Yes. When Christ was on the cross, I say Christ for a reason, because the word Jesus can mean many things. So I would say Yeshua then. Yeshua
Then
ben
say
Yosef.
Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Then say Yeshua.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, 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 no. The Torah said what God is opium, and they gave him opium to drink. Yes, to numb him up. All those blows that he was getting, he didn't feel it. I had privy to a book known as the last books of the Bible, where on that day there was a call before who is going to go and release Adam from the chains of Hades and Belial, and only Christ could do that work. And that work was in the spiritual world. Though when Christ was on the cross and they said his spirit left him, there was a disciple known as Bartholomew. Bartholomew saw what happened and asked Christ, because he said he saw when Christ was coming up from somewhere, and he saw a great figure how many cubic feet high, how many cubic feet wide, and a host was behind him. And he asked Christ, who are these people? And when who is this figure? And him said it was Adam. He had to go release Adam and those who fall during the time of Adam and release Adam and its fall in race. And he asked Christ where he went. He said he went to the pits of hell to visit Hades and Belial. Yes, to free Adam. No, 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 no. I say that to say that the realm within Christ was like in a coma, and they thought he was dead. Yes, Christ was in a comatose stage, and they thought he was dead, but he wasn't. And during that comatose state, the spirit left the body and did what it had to do to free Adam from that realms where he was. Yes, and after that, the spirit came back to the body and stuff, and that's where he
Yeah, well,
to get up and walk. That's
that
when he got up and walk.
that to
So
me,
so so
is a much more plausible. I mean, you know, it's
Hear the thing behind it. Hear the thing about it. Acts 2 said enough. Acts 2 said that on the day of Pentecost, when the Spirit came upon all them, it went on and said, the Lord spoke about David. Yeah, that he's both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day, knowing that God had sworn with an oath that unto David that he will rise up Christ to sit on the throne of David in the last days. Ye see all these things spoke of the resurrection of Christ, that his soul was not left in hell, neither did his flesh see corruption. For this same Christ who you claim that you are crucified and have killed. No, God has released the chains of the pangs of Hades and Belial. It was not possible
but
that death should be killed.
Peter, you have to be careful, because when you read things like how the Creator said that that Christ would be upon the throne of David, right? That they would have an everlasting person on the throne of David. You really have to ask yourself if you know what that means. Okay? Because what does the throne of David really mean? Right? We're not going to get into it right now, but these are the things that you really have to ask yourself, right? Because the way that things have been taught to us, right? We really have to reconsider and reevaluate what all of those things really mean. Because they gave it to us one way, but it may not necessarily mean that. Like, for instance, even the existence of His Majesty, right? When it says that He is from the throne of David, right? Of the loins of Solomon. Now, again, when you look at any particular person that is supposed to represent a prophecy, okay, we have to be very careful, because a lot of things were spoken in symbolism, and that is why we need the Zohar to really help to explain to us what we think we know. Right? I always point back, hold on. We always point back to the Zohar. All right? And we have to kind of relearn some things. We really do. And we need to be very careful. And anything that we once knew, we have to say, okay, what is the understanding through the lens of Kabbalah? That is what I had to do as, coming from a Christian background. Yes? All of these things that we were once taught, we have to try and understand it through the lens of Kabbalah.
What I do know, Josh, is that I can use the Bible and the Torah and all these little documents that I have here, all everything that I have here, as metaphors where I am concerned. Yes, and various aspects of my life where I can raise myself to a level of consciousness. My lower self, I have to die to that, similar to the death of Christ, so I can raise above to resurrect a new life, to come to a new consciousness. So everything can be used. I use the Bible, and I tell people, the Bible and the Torah and all these things have messages in there. Try and find the part that you played in that in any one of these books? Are you Jezebel? Are you Delilah? Are you Samson? Are you Esau, Jacob? Are you Adam? Who are you in the scriptures? Who are
That
you in
is
the
true. That is
Torah?
true.
Who
One
are
can
you?
find themselves in the scriptures. But let me ask you a
Yes.
question. Let me ask you a question. What did Jesus mean, or Yeshua mean, when he said that you must be born again?
Like what I just said a while ago, your lower self. You see, a metaphor again. Ibrahim, before Ibrahim had an opportunity to see the promised land, Lot has to take away himself from around him. The Hebrew word for Lot means veil. So Abraham's eyes were covered for a period of time. So God should show him the promised land. So a lot of things in the Torah and the Bible and all this stuff can be metaphorically. Don't necessarily have to be a literal sense.
I
It can be
agree. I
it
agree
can
with
be in the
you.
nine. It
But
is
then,
more likely in the 99%
but what
more
did
than
he
the
mean?
1%.
What did he
Pardon?
really mean by that?
Mean by what?
By saying that you must be born again.
Raise your level of consciousness to who you really are. Sons and daughters of God. That's how you have to raise that. That is the born again.
I
Knowledge,
think.
wisdom, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Because you have to know yourself
Well,
first.
well, hold
Yes,
on. But why did he use that phrase? That's a very specific phrase that he used, and giving us a very specific idea and concept. Why do you think he used that? Being born again.
it can come right back to the relationship what is going on here right now because symbolically and physically the Malkut is a woman and woman is water, so you have to go back to that space, that humble state where you come from, that state where when you're in that woman, that spiritual state where you don't have no condition until you come out and you start, all you see was vibrations around you, know that you don't know that you came out of that pure soul. And until you can, like the Bible said, until you can be like one of these little children, you can't go back up into Zion, man. Or wherever you're trying to. So you have to humble yourself. You have to come to that state of no thingness.
Okay, let
Yes,
me
no
let me
thing. That
share
means that you're not.
let me share with you what I think. So, and I've spoken about this before. In the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verses 10 through 14. Okay? And let me just go to it. John chapter 1. Okay. So, it says here, verse 10. Okay, verse 9. Actually, let me go back. And I tell you, even this scripture here, we have to really understand this very differently. Because most Christians think that everything that is being spoken of here is speaking about Jesus. Right? But let me read this. Matter of fact, let me just... So for those who are watching on YouTube live, I'm going to go to... Let's see, this is John chapter 1. So they can see what I'm talking about here. John chapter 1 and King James Version. Okay. And let me share it. Okay. All right. So most Christians believe that this is speaking of Jesus. Okay? And I use the term Jesus and Yeshua interchangeably because most people don't know his real name was Yeshua. Right? So, for all intents and purposes, we're going to use Jesus. But we're going to bring people to the knowledge that his name was not Jesus, it was Yeshua. Jesus is a Greek English interpretation. Right? But his name was Yeshua. His Hebrew name was Yeshua. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay? Christians are automatically going to say that this is talking about Jesus. But when you start studying Kabbalah, and you recognize, you start learning the Zohar, right? The word is the Torah, because the Torah is what was used. It's the Zohar tells us that the Creator looked inside of the Torah and made creation. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, the Torah. The same was in the beginning with God. That's the Torah. All things were made by Him. You see? You see? Okay, first of all, the way they have this written, and they say Him, it's a small h, which is not referring to God. Because if it was referring to God, they probably would have had a large H. But this goes to show they did not understand. At least the translators. Because this is wisdom, this is truth. But how it has been understood is incorrect. All of this is referring to the Torah. And what it should say is that all things were made by it. And without it was not anything made that was made. But because it says that the word, the it, was God, we can transfer and use God. So all things were made by God. And without God, or the Creator, was not anything made that was made. In Him, in the Creator's force, was life. And the life was the light of men. Yes, the Spirit of God is what animates all things. It says, and verse 5, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Another translation says that the light shineth in the darkness, the light shineth, and the darkness could not overtake it. Right? That's what it says. Then it says, verse 6, there was a man sent from God, whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him, John, might believe. Now, when I was studying this a couple months ago, I said, why is it they never make a religion out of John? John as the main character. Since it says here that he came to bear a witness that all men through him might believe. Huh? Question, right? Verse 8. He, John, was not that light, but he was sent to bear witness of the light. That was the true light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. Now again, the Christians want to say this is Jesus. But even Jesus has a creator, who is a creator himself. Verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made by him. The world wasn't made by Jesus. The world was made by the Creator. He was in the world. He, the Creator, was in the world. His Spirit was in the world. His force was in the world. The world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Isn't that true? People don't really know God. Verse 11. He, the creative force, came into his own, and his own received him not. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the earth and they that dwell therein. He came into his own, and his own received him not. Verse 12. But as many as received him, and remember, we're talking about the creative force here. As many as received him, To them gave he power to become the sons of God. Okay? Even to them that believe on his name. And we know that the Creator has many names. Verse 13. Now, it's talking about the sons of God. Verse 12 says that as many as received him gave he power to become the sons of God. Verse 13. Which were born, speaking of the sons of God, which were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. Okay? And I'm going to stop right there. They were born, these sons of God, were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. It's saying that you were not born, if you identify with this, you were not born because your mother and your father got together. Okay? You were not born of blood. You are not your body. You were not born by the will of the flesh, by your mother and your father, nor the will of man, but of God. Right? So the whole reason why I brought us back to the scriptures, we were talking about Jesus said, you must be born again. You must be born anew. This is the mindset you must have, that you were not born because your mother and your father got together, but you were sent of God. In fact, the name John means sent of God. So this is what I talk about when we think we know the scriptures. We need to look at even the New Testament. Everything in the New Testament must be viewed through the lens of Kabbalah. And especially the things that Jesus said. When he says that no man cometh to the Father but by me, he was not trying to make himself to be the gatekeeper, like most Christianity says. Okay? No. He was saying that in order to get to the upper three sphirot of the tree of life, which is what really the study of Kabbalah is all about, the tree of life, you cannot get to the upper three without going through the sun, without going through Zer and Pin, which is the sixth sphirot in the central aspect of the tree of life. Okay? That's what he meant. But, of course, Christianity, or the early church fathers, make it so that he's the gateway. And that's why they say that unless you believe in Jesus, you're going to hell. What kind of garbage is that? It's garbage. And it's become a stumbling block for people. And people do not truly understand their identity. And this is where they should get their identity from. And then we go back to the Zohar in the portion of Behar, which is in Leviticus, where it says the secret of the servant and the secret of the son. And we read this, where we understand that those who come to know the Creator in a very special, particular manner, not in a general way, but in a particular manner, they are called the sons of God. Okay? They are the ones that are called the sons of God. So, these are the things that we have to help our fellow Christians understand. We need to view the writings of the New Testament and the concepts of the New Testament through the lens of Kabbalah. That's the only way we're going to come to the truth and have a wisdom that can truly transform us. Because I got to tell you, the teachings of Christianity, as wonderful as they may be, is very weak. Again, they've thrown out the baby with the bathwater. We don't celebrate, we don't recognize or acknowledge any of the holidays, any of the cosmic openings, because that's what those holidays are. They're cosmic openings of energy where we can tap into, like Shavuot, like Lag BaOmer, like the new moons, like Shabbat, which occurs every 7 days. The Creator revealed this wisdom for us to use. Not for them just to be a concept, but for practical use to help us in this world. Because he knew what we were up against. He created the Satan. He created the Satan to behave exactly how he's behaving. He's doing his job. He's the accuser. Why is he called the accuser? Because he will accuse our wrongdoings. He brings accusations against us. But it's only to make us better. Because the Zohar tells us that the Satan only seeks out that which is imperfect. He seeks out only that which is imperfect. So what does that mean? He wants us to be better. He wants us to be better. He wants us to be error-free. Okay? Sinless and error-free. So that we can reach the heights that we were destined to be. So, Peter, thank you for bringing that up because it gave me an opportunity to speak about this. But that's why I feel when he talks about you must be born again, you must achieve a new identity. Not just raise your consciousness, but recognize where you came from. Recognize that you are not a product of your mother and your father. Yes, you are in a body. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And if you start from that standpoint, then you will get the strength and the energy to rise up. You must know who you are and have the right and proper identification. And I want to welcome to our program tonight Josette Lindo. Hey Josette, who's in Jamaica. Oh, that's great. We have 3 people in Jamaica right now. Beautiful. Thank you, Josette, for joining us. Welcome. So, yeah, so that's Son of God, being born again. You got to see yourself as coming from somewhere different. And like Jesus said, he who ascends into heaven is only he who first came from heaven. So if a Christian wants to think that their final destination or the reason why they're being good is that so they can go to heaven, look, if you came from heaven, you can't miss it. Okay? That's where you got to go back. And you first have to see yourself as coming from there in order to get back there. Again, new identity. New identity. So, last night we played the lesson 1 of the Power of Kabbalah series. And, I felt after Shavuot, after the receiving of the Torah, we needed to start over from the beginning. All right? And some of the highlights of last night, right, as I'm showing here on the screen, what is Kabbalah? The overview of the lineage of Kabbalah, right? 4,000 years ago, Abraham the patriarch and the Book of Formation. 3,400 years ago, Moses and the revelation at Mount Sinai. Then 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was given the Zohar. The Zohar was revealed to him. And then just 500 years ago, Rabbi Isaac Luria, great sage who further expounded upon the Zohar, to give us further revelations and further understandings. And then in 1922, Rav Yehuda Ashlag founded the Kabbalah Center with Rav Yehuda Brandwein. So the Kabbalah Center originated in 1922, and it was created for people to transform themselves and to stop being a victim and stop looking at other people, but to realize that they themselves, each individual, needs to be transformed. And that's the only way that the world would come to the paradise it was intended to be. That is the mission of the Kabbalah Center. Transformation. Education and transformation. And that's why we're here. That's why I formed the Kabbalah Learning Center of Jamaica, to do the same thing. To educate, so that people understand that the purpose of us being here is to transform our nature. One, from the desire to receive for the self alone, which is our God-given nature, to desire to receive for the sake of sharing. That is our mission, and that is our goal. So, I would like to continue with lesson 2 tonight, right, from Eitan Yardeni on the Power of Kabbalah 2 series. Any questions before I begin, or any comments, or okay, very good. So without further ado, here is Eitan Yardeni. Okay.
Hello everyone, welcome to class number 2 of the Power of Kabbalah course. In the last session, we spoke about how consciousness actually is creating our reality, and how most of the time we view reality through the 1% consciousness. We rule by the body consciousness. We jump to conclusion based on how things feels, how we see. We believe our senses. We believe our mind. We believe only when we touch, when we see, when we feel. And as a result, we stuck in those body consciousness that make us reactive and don't let us see the big picture. And the assignment last time was, look in your life to those moments that you react to that 1% appearance, to those circumstances, either difficult or exciting, and pause and allow yourself to ask from the bigger picture, from your soul, to be able to connect to the 99% reality, which will allow us to see really what's beneath the clothing, what's beneath how things look like. Is it really good for me? To listen to that gut feeling that helped me to see the bigger picture beyond the immediate reactive mode, or the bigger picture beyond blaming. Because at the end of the day, when I am connecting to the 99%, everything is a purpose. Everything is a reason. Today, we are going to answer major questions about life that only the Kabbalists truly answer. How did the universe begin? Why are we here? What happened before creation of the physical world, or as the scientists describe, the Big Bang, the theory of creation? What happened prior to this? You'll be amazed to know that the description of scientists of the Big Bang is similar to the description of Rabbi Isaac Luria, a Kabbalist lived 500 years ago, of the Big Bang, long time before the Big Bang theory was written. Similar description. The question the Kabbalah is asking, what happened prior to the Big Bang? What brought about the Big Bang? Which scientifically is that point of energy that exploded and manifested into the physical universe of today. What brought it about? What happened before religions, before Adam and Eve, before the atoms? What brought us to this world of the 1%? The world of the 1% that we live in is the world of a appearing that way at least, of fragmentation, of disconnect. We all interested to have more fulfillment. Nobody's totally satisfied and fulfilled. The common things about all of us is lack, void, search. What brought this about? We live in a world of a game between part of us that wants fulfillment and wants to do the right thing, to the other part of us that very often is self-destructive. Why? Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? If there is such a force called God, and it's a force of goodness, how come there's something look like evil in this world, and chaos, and pain, and suffering? Let's begin. From the point of the Big Bang, that's when the physical universe started. That's when time, space, and motion started. But Kabbalistically, it's part of the 1% reality. In a real reality, there's no time. So when you speak about the beginning, it's not really the beginning, it's actually the cause of all causes. What happened? So the Kabbalah starts with the power of the light. What is the light? It's the force of God, the force of the Creator. The reason the Kabbalists use the word the light and less speaks about God, even though it is the same thing, is because very often when we think about God, we think about that old man with a white beard sitting on a throne and pulling the strings and punishing and rewarding. Kabbalistically, that's not what God really is about. God is an infinite power, infinite force of giving, the source of all good, the source of all joy, the source of all miracles, of all blessings, of every type of fulfillment we experience in this world. The source of all energy, strength, the battery of everything. Like from the outlet, we can receive energy for our computer, for our fax machine, for our TV. It's one source of energy. In the same way, God, or as the Kabbalah is called, the light force, is the source of energy for love, for joy, for miracles, for great relationship, for financial abundance, for health abundance, for satisfaction, for appreciation, for nature, for inspiration, for creativity, for a removal of fears, for inner strength, for confidence, from being in the right time, in the right place, from being connected to intuition, from being connected to true wisdom. So all those blessings that manifest themselves in our life, Kabbalistically, are coming from one source. God, or the force of the Creator, which the Kabbalists call the light force. We're not talking about the physical light. We're talking about the source of all blessings and fulfillment. As the Rav Berg would say, when you come to a dark room, what is the best way to get rid of the darkness? To take buckets of darkness and get them out of the room? Of course not. Turning on the light. When you turn on the light, darkness disappears. In the same way, when we're speaking about the light force of the Creator, the energy that all of us seeking to connect with, is the source that can remove any pain, any need, any chaos, any void. Because any time of chaos, of pain in our life, Kabbalistically, it's absence of light. And when you look at the physical light for a second, we know the physical light consists of all the colors of the spectrum. If you put a prism in front of a physical light, the white light, you'll have all the colors of the spectrum. And each one of these colors can be green and red and yellow, but all of them stems from one white light. In the same way in our own life. When we're saying, I want to improve my relationship, and I want more energy of love in my life, or confidence in my life, or prosperity in my life, or inner strength in my life, or being more proactive, or being more forceful, or being more healthy. All those is the different colors of the spectrum, the different manifestation of the one force, which is the force of creation, the light force. So the Kabbalists say, when I say, I would like to improve my life in a real, meaningful, deep level, another word to say it, I want more light in my life. Because more light in my life means improving in a real deep level my relationship, my business, my connection to myself. And if we look before we spoke about the ladder of consciousness, that we want to elevate above the body consciousness, the limited consciousness, the victim consciousness. As we're raising our consciousness, we're getting closer to the light. We're getting closer to the source of all abundance. And we have more light in our life. And as a result, our reality is shifting. Because more light removes darkness. More light removes pain. More light removes blockages in my business. Remove blockages and some self-destructiveness that I have in my life. If you think for a second about your own life, how your life will be different, write down to yourself for a second. If you will have much more light in your life, that source of all blessing, that source of all fulfillment, how do you see your life being improved? Take a moment, pause, write it down for yourself. It's important to know that when we speak about light, we don't speak about that light is up there, like people meditating and saying, wow, I saw the light. It's such a great feeling. The fact that I'm starting to see that I'm attracting blessing and the right people into my life, it means I'm probably connected to more light in my life. The fact that I see that actually my heart is being open and I'm less judgmental and I'm bringing more warmth into my life and I'm able to appreciate more blessings into my life, it's indication I'm bringing more light in my life. The fact that I'm starting to see that I'm attracting more miracles into my life and I'm attracting right friends, or I'm being blessed to see that something is negative for me and I'm stopping it ahead of a time, it's indication I have more light in my life. So it's not just about great feeling and high. It's more about down to earth, long-term true blessing, true fulfillment in our life. That is the light force. So back to creation, back to how did it all begin. So the light, Kabbalistically, is the only axiom, is the seed of all blessing, the cause of all causes. It's something we cannot prove. You need to feel yourself that that force exists. And that force is not out there. It's everywhere, include within me, within each cell of our body. Nevertheless, doesn't mean I feel and I experience the light all the time and will understand why. But if we talk about in the origin of us, the light has one nature: desire to give, desire to impart, desire to share infinitely, no desire to receive, only source of giving. And based on the nature of the light wanted to share his infinite beneficence because that's his nature. Not because the light has a need to share, has a need to give, to make him happy. It's simply infinite force of love. And that's brought us to the next step. The light created the vessel, the original soul, us. What does it mean? The light created a receiver. The light has a nature, desire to give. The vessel is desire to receive. In the same way, a cup is a vessel for the water, the vessel for the light, which has desire to give, is consciousness of desire to receive, which brings us to the essence of all our souls. According to the Kabbalist, all humanities, all the souls that ever been and ever will, were part of the original soul that was created, original vessel, not physical vessel, but a vessel from the point of view of a container that can receive the infinite abundance that the light wanted to share. Each one of us is a fragment of that original one vessel that was created. But if you look at your own life for a second, what's driving us in life? Desire to receive fulfillment. If I have a big desire, I'll have a big drive. And I have options for huge fulfillment. If I have a small desire, I'll have a small drive. And little things will satisfy me. But when we're saying I'm happy and I'm satisfied, is my desire to receive is satisfied. If you're in front of someone and you want to share with them so much blessings and gifts and surprises and wisdoms and direction and growth, and have no desire to listen to you, even though they're very bright and very smart, we would say Kabbalistically they don't have the vessel to listen to you. They're not open. They don't have the desire. So actually what's permitting circuitry of energy between giver and a receiver? Giver has desire to give, receiver has desire to receive what the giver wants to offer. So if we talk about before Big Bang, before humanity was created, the origin of everything was infinite light, which has one nature, infinite desire to give, which created, the light created infinite vessel, infinite soul that wants to receive endlessly the blessings of the light. The blessings of love, of wisdom, of strength, of joy, of abundance, of everything. And we're talking about before creation of human being. Imagine you take away the body, what's left? A soul, a true desire to connect with blessings, with light, with true fulfillment. Originally, before the physical reality, before the Big Bang, we were one unified soul, receiving endlessly the abundance of the Creator, and nothing was missing. We had everything. Billions times more than any fulfillment we can imagine, because it's endless, we are finite. But originally we were as one soul, receiving all the abundance, and nothing was missing. That reality called the endless reality. The endless world. Infinite light, infinite vessel as one. Practicality, before we were bodies, we were one soul, infinitely connected, and received all the blessings, and everything was there. Every joy we can dream about. Everything we're seeking to connect Kabbalistically is to reconnect to the pleasures that we once had. The love, the happiness, the satisfaction, everything we're striving, we once had. We're trying to reconnect to that blessing we had once. And the biggest question of the Kabbalist, if everything was so amazing, and God's or the light nature was one, desire to impart, desire to share infinitely, and we were created the soul and we received infinitely, so why do we need this world? Suddenly that one soul, for some reason, separated and fragmented to many other pieces, and we're no longer one, and we're no longer content and fulfilled. Each one of us still have a vessel of a desire to receive fulfillment, but maybe 10% or 20% are filled with light. The rest is search and emptiness and void and chaos and darkness. Why? Everything seemed to be amazing. Who chose that? What brought us to this point? We had everything. Which brings us to the actually cause of creation. The reason why we're here. And the expression the Kabbalists use for the cause of why we, as a vessel, decided to disconnect from the light, to separate ourselves from the light, to go to a journey, to leave the light and then to reconnect with the light. The reason we decided it, because of something called bread of shame. Bread of shame is an ancient expression of the Kabbalists that describe what? Describe the idea that when we receive something without earning it, when we receive something without giving back, when we receive something without being able to give like the light gave us, something is missing. Part of us feel disconnect. Part of us feel unfulfilled. Even though we love the light, but part of us also wants to earn the light. Part of us wants to be like the light. Part of us wants to be the co-creator of that blessings are having. And if I'm just a receiver without ability to give, without ability to earn, without ability to cause my own reality, I feel disconnect. I feel emptiness, which the Kabbalists call that expression bread of shame. How come? Why did we feel that way as a vessel which we receive the infinite abundance from the light? It's because when the light created us, the light gave us his own DNA. Because imagine, like a father giving the son not just all the blessings, he wants to give the son also the ability to create like the father created. If a father gives his son a business, does he want just the son to have all the blessings, the benefits of the business? Or he wants to give the son also the ability to create a business, which is the infinite giving? The same thing the Creator. He didn't just give us all the blessings and all the light and all the joy. He gave us his DNA, his essence, to be a giver, to be a creator, to cause, to create, to initiate, to create fulfillment. So we had two parts with this as a vessel. There's a part of us that love to receive, love to enjoy, love to appreciate all the blessings that we are looking for, infinitely. But there's another part of us that we want to be like the light, a giver, a creator, an initiator, a cause, proactive. So we had both aspects of us. The part of us that wanted to receive a tremendous fulfillment and joy. But a part of us that wanted to earn, wanted to create, wanted to do, to be like the light, felt empty. Because who can we give to? What can we create? It was infinite abundance. Can we give to the Creator itself? He has no desire to receive. Which brought us to the next step, which we as a vessel told the light, light, I love you. I want you. There's nothing more I want to connect. But I really want to be one with you. And the only way I can be one with you, not only if I'm receiving, also if I'm able to express your nature, your attributes that you imbued within us, which is the giving, the earning, the creating. I don't want bread of shame anymore. And we decided restrict. That's Kabbalistic concept called restriction, or in the ancient word tzimtzum, restriction. I choose to disconnect, and please allow me to go through a journey that I can earn the light. Please allow me to go through a journey that I'm empty from light, and as I'm being like you, light, and as I'm working from the light, I have sense of earning, sense of being the co-creator, sense of being the cause of my life. Then I can connect to the light. And I know the light did not disappear. The infinite light and the infinite miracles and the infinite blessings exist within each one of us still, but it's concealed. But we made this next rule of the game of life. And we told the light, the only way I can receive the light, only if I'm being like the light. Or a different word to say it. The only way I can receive the light, only if I'm earning the light. If I'm just receiving for myself alone, I no longer can receive because I will have bread of shame. I will have bread of shame. Because receiving in our origin wasn't enough for us. I want to receive. But the way I want to receive is by earning the light. The way I want to receive, if I'm being also a force of sharing. And from now on, the Creator, with His infinite ability and abundance, the light, presented as this world of 1%, of limitation, of disconnect, that nothing is just easy to get. Everything about this world is about earning fulfillment, earning soulmate, earning passion, earning love, earning true creativity. And when I get something just for myself alone, and I want instant gratification, and I don't want to go through the process, I'm going to get bread of shame, which is again disconnection from the light, because we made that rule. The only way I want to receive fulfillment, only if I'm earning the light, only if I'm being like the light. And I'm just taker. The rule that we made caused the light to be concealed, and as a result caused chaos, pain, and suffering in our life. So the whole purpose of being in this physical world, the world of correction, the world of transformation, the world of illusion, the world that it doesn't feel like we all connect and we all one with each other. We're not even in touch with our own soul, with our own true desires. But the reason of that space between us and our fulfillment is to give us opportunity to earn the light. Because if I'm receiving the light without making an effort, I don't feel I'm the creator. And that's what this life is about. Think about example in this world. Imagine somebody is buying you a magic golf club. You don't know nothing about golf, but somehow, doesn't matter how you hit the ball, you get a hole in one every time. You win every tournament. You win every game. You're the best of the best without making any effort. At the moment you hold this magic club, you win. How will it make you feel in a long term? Really? Really fulfilled? Really satisfied? Of course, all of us would love to win tournaments. But in a long term, how will it make you feel? You're right. Bored, unsatisfied, no challenge, empty, cheating. Something will be missing. Why? Why? How come? What's wrong about it? I'm not cheating. It's like magic golf club. Because in our soul, in a DNA of our soul, we know that receiving without earning brings bread of shame. It wasn't fulfilling in the endless, and it's still not fulfilling. Our body consciousness still would love instant gratification, still would love to receive things without earning, because very often we forget and when we don't want to listen to our soul. But in truth, when we're getting things without earning it, we're getting disconnect. We're getting emptiness. Think about your own life. Remember times in your own life that you help someone and he didn't do anything for this, and eventually he hated you for that. Why? Because we gave them bread of shame. When a father give or a mother give to their child, give without letting them go through a process to work for it, are we really helping them? We're burning them. When a person receiving inheritance without doing anything for that, or without using it in a good way, just to stop working and just to think about myself all day long, how do you think will it help? Is that money, which is not a curse, it's a blessing, but is that money will be really a blessing or a curse for that person? Absolutely, it will be a curse. Not because there's a problem with the money, because a person doesn't have the vessel to handle it. When I just receive without doing anything as a giver, without either earning it or using it for the sake of sharing, I'm connecting to a body consciousness. I'm in the bottom of the ladder. And as a result, it will bring darkness into my life. So the idea of bread of shame, our soul knows it. Receiving something without earning will cause me disconnect. Think about if you ever been in a relationship that you just received, and you were not in the mood to give back so much. How did it feel after a while? Or you were gave, and the other person just received and didn't do nothing. How did it feel to the other person after a while? Disconnect. Because there was no circuitry. Because when I'm just take and I'm not earn and I'm not working for it, even though I love all the receiving and all the love, I feel emptiness. I feel disconnection. I'm saying that too good. Because our soul knows I need to earn. When I'm getting something for nothing, it's not going to work for me. The idea Kabbalistically why drugs might be destructive force in a person's life or any device for instant gratification is not because there's a problem with the drugs or with the experience. It's very simple. I'm getting direct energy without earning, without doing anything out of it. And my soul in my DNA cannot be happy because that's the rule we made. We came to this world and we had a contract with the light. The light, please. Don't let the light be revealed within me unless I'm being like you, unless I'm earning the light, unless I'm part of the creation of that light. And all the teachings of Kabbalah is to help us to understand what does it mean to be like the light? What does it mean to earn the light? And we're starting gradually to learn it. To raise our consciousness, to grow in the light of consciousness is earning. And one of the things I can tell you about earning, it's against the easy urge. If laziness is the easy urge, working hard is against the easy urge. It's earning. It's acting like the light. To grow consciousness and to earn the light is to go against the body consciousness, against the instant gratification. For a person is workaholic, for him earning is spending more time with his kids and be present. That's earning. Earning is relative to each individual. Earning is going beyond my easy urge, which that's our body consciousness. It's all about instant gratification and the shortest path for temporary fulfillment. If I want lasting fulfillment, which is delight, and true changes, which is raised consciousness, I have to make an effort, and it's relative and it's different in every situation, as we are going to learn. Earning is the process of going beyond my selfishness and begin to be more of a giver. Earning is developing patience when things don't go my way and asking what can I do differently instead of complaining what others can do differently. Earning is identify the area I'm too lazy in life and making more work outside of myself. Earning is about spending time with other people, spending time to develop my consciousness, which my natural body consciousness is spending time to get immediate results. Because if I'm spending time just about my results, I'm not really building my consciousness. Earning can be to find areas in my life I'm so afraid to face, and I'm going against my fear. Being ruled by my fear is choosing laziness and easy urge and instant gratification and bread of shame. Going against my fear is actually breaking out of it. Gradually, we're going to learn that spiritual action that raise my consciousness, it is about earning the light. Sometimes a person works very hard in business and say, I earn all what I got. The Kabbalist asked the question, who do you think gave you all the blessings? The fact that you work hard doesn't mean you earn. What have you done with the abundance that you got? How did you treat your employees? When you already got the abundance and the wealth and the success, what did you do with this? Is your ego telling you you are the master? Or you connect to the idea of humility, which is also working hard to be in a state of humility. So there's so many levels. All what life is about is gradually removing the bread of shame, removing the sense of instant gratification, earning the light, and as I'm doing it, revealing more light, revealing more blessings in my life, having more fulfillment, shifting my consciousness for me and for my surrounding. When a mother buys her child assembled picture puzzle, the child loves this picture with horses, it's very nice, but how long the satisfaction would last? Very limited. But imagine she's buying the same picture, but this time, the pieces are disassembled. And the child needs to work for it, to fight for it, to complain about it. And 2 weeks later, he assembled the picture. When the child sees the picture on the wall, he has a sense of connection, sense of satisfaction. Why? Because he earned it. Because he went through the process. Because he overcame his impatience, his need for instant gratification. When we're giving to our children everything so instantly, they'll never be truly fulfilled. They will never have inner strength. The light gave us in this world the tool to remove bread of shame and to earn. What is the main tool the light gave us? What do we need to overcome? Because earning comes with overcoming. Overcoming what? Overcoming an outside competitor. That's how you feel you're earned. What is really the main tool that helps us to have sense of true fulfillment? The Creator created an opponent. An opponent, or the Kabbalistic word to the opponent, Satan, which from Aramaic means the opponent, the disturber. Satan doesn't refer to this devil running on a pitchfork. It refers truly to a force that exists within each one of us, that is our own inner opponent, that manifests itself personally within each one of us and then manifests itself collectively, a source of negativity. What is that opponent? That opponent is the force within each one of us that trigger selfishness, that trigger being reactive, that trigger instant gratification. And that opponent is always suggesting some goodies, some sugar, some instant gratification. That opponent has bank account. That every time I go for the reactive nature, for the selfish nature, for the instant gratification, for the lazy path, for the blaming path, for the self-destructive path, for using devices for being high instantly, for a second I will feel energy. That's the opponent bank. The Creator created Satan, created the opponent with his bank of energy, that every time I'm choosing this path, or I'm letting that easy urge controls me, I will feel for a second great or fulfilled, and it will be easier. But with this come darkness, with this come chaos. There are two banks of energy. The opponent bank of energy, instant gratification, and then pain, and then chaos, and then disconnect, or connecting to the light bank, which maybe initially I don't feel great and high, it's effort, it's stretch, but in a long term, true blessing, true improvement of our life. The opponent was created in a way that it's much easier to listen to the opponent than listen to the light within us. There's two voices within each one of us. We have the light voice in our soul that tell us, don't worry, don't react, it's opportunity. Work harder, don't cheat, stretch more, trust you did the right thing will come. Share, it's coming back. Don't worry about it. You're not going to have less. And the opponent is all about instant gratification. Why should I do it? Look what they've done to me. Poor me. I want. I'd never have enough. And the opponent manifests itself emotionally with the hurt and anger and reactive and blaming and feel sorry for myself. Or with the thoughts in our mind, judgment, negativity, it's never gonna happen, I don't believe in myself, or I'm big shot, look what they say about me, doing things from the wrong intention. Even when I'm sharing, it's all about gratitude and recognition from everyone else, because I want that buzz, I want that energy. The light, it's nice, but I'm not interested. I want some sugar. I want some strength. I want to feel great about myself. I want somebody to give me energy. I want a quick fix. No time for the light now. I have chaos. Leave me alone right now. That's the opponent. And it's a constant fight we all have. It's two voices. Which one is easier to listen to? The opponent. Much easier. We gravitate towards it. If you let go of a physical object, what's going to happen? It's going to fall. Why? Because of the force of gravity. In the same way exactly, what's easier to listen to? The opponent. An exercise. I want you to write down. Write down 4 things in your life that you know are bad for you and you do them anyway. And write down 4 things in your life that you know is good for you if you're going to do it, but you don't do it anyway. Just write it down. It can be emotionally, it can be physically, it can be discipline, it can be certain negativity you dwell in. Please write it down. Pause the tape for a second. We all have that opponent voice and force within us that we listen to. We know it's the wrong thing for us. We know it's not going to make us proud. And we still do it anyway. Why? Because we are just self-destructive. For some reason, the Creator created that opponent in our life, that it's much easier to listen to the opponent, because the type of energy that the bank of opponent providing us is much more stimulating than the idea of long-term fulfillment. I want it now. It's within each one of us, and it's a loud voice. The biggest question we need to ask, why the voice of the opponent is so louder than the voice of the light? And even though we might know intellectually the only way I can receive the light, only if I'm acting like the light, only if I'm listening to the voice of the light, only if I'm proactive, only if I'm a giver, only if I'm outside of myself, only if I'm earning, only if I'm not working for the short term. But nevertheless, the opponent voice is so forceful. I can come after a spiritual lesson and learn about the light and learn about the opponent, and somebody will say something that I don't like, and I will react with anger and with blame. And here the light went out the window. Why? And who created? Why the light created such a force of negativity? Listen to the opponent is not just a little joke. It's the cause of all chaos in our life and in the world. What's causing people to kill each other? Listening to the opponent, to their evil inclination. Listening to them evil in the head. Only I'll feel better if I'll kill that guy. Why people blaming each other? Why there's corruption in business, corruption in politics, corruption between friends, lack of consistency and perseverance in relationship, temptation. It's all about instant gratification. So that opponent is a major force. And more I'm listening to the opponent, less light I will have, less light I will have, more emptiness I will have, more emptiness I will be more desperate. The opponent even will be more stronger in my life. That will make me feel more of a victim, more blaming, which cause chaos, our heart is shut down. We stop investing in loving and giving because I have my own troubles, my own issues. But it all stems from listening to the opponent. Believing that if I'll just focus into myself, my life will be better. Major force that cause personal void and negativity and collective chaos in the world. Everything starts with listening, one individual listening to the opponent. Hurting each other is not because I want to hurt the other person, it's because I'm listening to the emptiness within me telling me the only way I'll feel better is that way. Such a chaos. The light created it. Why? And the Zohar share with us a story that once upon a time was a king that loved his son very much. And he told his son, do me a favor. I want to ask you just for one thing. You'll be my successor, but don't get close to prostitutes. Stay away from them. The son promised. Here the son got about 20 years old. The father wanted to bring the son closer to him. He decided before he'll send him the most beautiful harlot was in town. And he told her, do me a favor, go and seduce my son with all the tricks that you know. And she went and she tried, and the son was very tempted. But he restricted himself. He overcame himself. And the Zohar tells us, and that's brought the son really closer to his father. Who was the vehicle to help to bring the son closer to his father? The prostitute. In the same way exactly. We asked the light, please light, help us to earn the light. Help us to be the co-creator. Help us to be like you. So the light said, I will help you, son. I will create an opponent. He will appear as a negative force, but in a big picture is a good angel. But he's there that you can overcome him. He's there to cause you to go into instant gratification, into being to yourself, into being selfish. But by you overcoming him, you're truly causing new reality. You're creating new nature. Because if we just follow the natural tendency, we're selfish being. But if we connect to our real essence, our soul essence, and we have the strength from the soul to overcome the opponent, we become the co-creator. We acting like the light, and it's not easy to act like the light. If you would be born, son, just with a natural desire to give like me, you will never feel sense of earning. So the opponent is there to help you to earn. So it's a gift. And I would like to read a section from the Zohar in Aramaic, and then you'll see as well the translation. And reading it in Aramaic as we're going to learn, just listen to it and scanning the letters, it's by itself actually drawing down the light and strength to charge our soul to overcome the opponent within. We can find this section in volume 11 of the Zohar, portion Truma. Ve'i teima beyetzer hara, ech yachil barnash lemircham lei, דעה יצרה מקטרגה יהיו. דלה יקרב ברנש לפולחנה דקודשה בריחו. ואיך ירחים לי בי, אלא דיו פולחנה דקודשה בריחו, יתיר כד האי יצרה, את כפיה לי בגין רחימו דקה מרחם יהי. לקודשה בריחו. דחד האי יצרה את כפיה ותבר לי, ההוא ברנש דיו רחימו דקודשה בריחו, בגין דידיע לקרבה להוא יצרה לפולחנה לקודשה בריחו. The Zohar called the opponent the evil inclination. In a nutshell, what the Zohar tells us, by us looking at all these temptations and desires and selfishness and self-destructiveness and jealousy and reactivity, not as a bad thing, as opportunity to get closer to the light by overcoming it, we need to love that experience. We need to love that opportunity. That's one of the major rules in the game of life. Raising my consciousness is overcoming the opponent within. The light is waiting for us. The blessings of success, of the next level of my relationship, the next level of my business, the next level of my spiritual growth, the next level of my true fulfillment, of manifesting my dream. That's what means more light in my life. The next level of every aspect of my life is waiting. Am I willing to do the work? Am I willing to overcome my next level of negativity, my next level of jealousy, my next level of anger, my next level of self-destructiveness? Am I willing to overcome the negative consciousness within me, the consciousness of the opponent within me? To the extent I'm willing to overcome the challenge within, to that extent I can receive the light. There's no shortage of light. There's no shortage of blessings. The question, am I willing to work for it? And work for it doesn't mean I need to sweat and work hard physically in making that billion. Of course, we need to work also hard physically. But the real work that most people are skipping, that's the reason there's void and emptiness within. Am I willing to dig to overcome my different layers of negativity within, which lead us towards the next subject? The biggest trick of the opponent, the biggest trick of Satan. If you ask the Rav Berg, what is the biggest trick of Satan? That all of us being played by him, by that trick. The biggest trick. He make us blind. As the Rav Berg called him, he's the master magician. He make us blind of seeing the opponent. Because if I see the opponent, I know I can overcome something. But the fact that I don't even see that I'm ruled by my ego, the fact that I think I'm such a sharing good person, and I don't even see that it's all about ego trip, that's how Satan is hiding. He's giving me an illusion that I'm a sharing person, which all the intention is all about ego gratification. He's hiding. The fact that I'm so busy what the other person did wrong, and I'm so ruled by blame and unfair, I'm so focused of the other person. But ask yourself a simple question. Is that consciousness of blame or anger, is it coming from my light or coming from the opponent? And that's how he's hiding. He's hiding with true life story. If somebody is really wrong, but meanwhile, what consciousness am I connecting to? My opponent consciousness or my light consciousness? My opponent consciousness. But when there's certain life issues that are really disturbing, we don't look inside. We don't ask this question. And back to the original thing that we said before. The biggest question is, where is my consciousness? Because life circumstances will change and will improve as I'm recognizing my consciousness and overcoming it. Every time I am reactive, I'm into the mode of instant gratification, selfishness, egocentric, into myself, blaming. It's different indication that I'm ruled by the opponent. Even though I'm right and the other person is wrong, it is not the issue. The issue, what consciousness I have. And the opponent is hiding. In theory, it's interesting. But in real life, when something is really disturbing, we're letting that anger and reactivity and movies in my head, what's wrong with the other person, and fears and so on. And meanwhile, the opponent is in control. That's his job. So step number 1 of earning the light is overcoming the opponent within. But step number 1 of overcoming the opponent within is recognizing the opponent, which we all blind. And even though we reveal aspect of the opponent, we are blind to a deeper aspect. And that will be the homework. Every night, before going to sleep, until the next session, and try to give yourself space before the next session. Even tomorrow you're going to listen to it, it's okay, but give yourself a space. Look back at your day and ask yourself, Wow, how did the opponent played with me today? Where was I reactive? I was selfish. I was not really earning. I went for the easy urge. I ruled by some ego trip. I had the wrong intention even though I pretended to do something right. Where did the opponent play him? Really remind yourself and commit that tomorrow you'll try to pay attention. To start to develop a sense of recognition of the opponent is the beginning of awareness and is the beginning of truly raising our consciousness. So if we look back at the ladder of consciousness, we'll redefine now that ladder. The bottom of the ladder, we call it Satan consciousness or the opponent consciousness. And the top of the ladder, we call it the light consciousness. If I want to improve my life, I'll do everything in my power to raise my consciousness. Raising my consciousness is recognition of the opponent and overcoming the opponent within. Overcoming reactivity, overcoming selfishness, overcoming birth of shame, overcoming the easy urge, overcoming laziness, and becoming more proactive, becoming more sharing, becoming outside of myself. If it's easy for me to be nice and giving and sharing and helping and caring about the world, it's amazing, but it's not indication I'm really raising my consciousness, because to raise my consciousness and to improve my life is overcoming the opponent. That moment of overcoming is the moment that reveals light. Get closer to the light, reveal light, and shifting my reality. So for now, let's focus on recognition of the opponent and write it down for yourself. Thank you.
Informative. I gotta watch the recording of this one as well.
No, man, yeah, I'm here, Josh. I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Listen, yes, yes. I'm here going through the list, and I'm,
I,
I'm here, I'm here prepared. So, I'm ready with sons. Them I made some pasta, some penny pasta, and some spaghetti with a broccoli and mushroom sauce thing, you know. Yeah. Right. I give thanks. Give thanks. Aye. That was a good one, and I learned a lot. Yeah, as I said, the pause is the most important part of our life, and the recognition. And once you do it, half the battle.
mentally turned on?
A realization, you know, it's just that ones are in doubt and fear take hold and doubt and all of that. And Marcus Garvey was saying that if you lack confidence in oneself, you're twice defeated, you know? And need a little nudging more time. Yeah.
Who the hell?
You might have to work. Because of our spiritual enlightenment that we have to receive today, to have the capacity to enhance tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Thank you, Karen Berg. Today we begin the new book, the book of Bamidbar, the fourth book, which is mistakenly called Numbers. Bamidbar means desert, and there's a lot to talk about in terms of making ourselves like a desert. I won't go into that, but one thing is for sure, that this portion, Bamidbar, is almost always read. It's always read before Shavuot. Sometimes Naso is there as well. And the whole idea of receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai, it's that, we always talk about the Torah being brought down on a mountain, but many times it wasn't just about the mountain. The emphasis is about the desert. Bamidbar Sinai, not just Har Sinai, Bamidbar Sinai, this desolate wasteland. That specifically is where we can receive the biggest enlightenment. The only connection I'll make to that is that every year before Shavuot, the Kabbalists explain that we actually receive an entire new installment of consciousness, of direction, our relationship to the spiritual work, our relationship with the Creator, our relationship with the wisdom is renewed every single year. And to symbolize that, we read Bamidbar, because desert means clean slate. There's nothing there. It's just a plot of land. You can't really, there's nothing there. Totally empty. So with that, I want to share with you a teaching from Rav Ashlag that really revolutionizes and changes how we understand spirituality. Karen mentioned the idea of counting people and how some people, everybody matters, everybody counts, but it's our choice to decide how much do I count. And in other words, how much can I influence? How much can I influence this world? For example, when you live a life just for yourself alone, who are you influencing? One person, yourself alone. You live a life that is sharing with other people, that you're part of a community, that you're sharing. Now you're not only just you've now increased your number to now become 7 people. I am now 7 people worth of energy. So Bamidbar, and what we want to think about on Shavuot as we receive the new instruction is, how can I expand my number? How can I expand my reach? How can I matter more? As well as a proper understanding of what is the spiritual work about. We know that Rav Brandwein taught the Rav that the revelation of Mount Sinai was not a download of a new religion. It wasn't a religion, it wasn't a nation receiving religious law. It was the culmination and the embodiment of love thy neighbor. It's a much longer story than this, but Rav Ashlag explains that there's only through 600,000 Israelites, because of where they came from, because of their ancestors, because of their total wiping away of their ego in Egypt, they were ready to finally commit to a life of service of other people. To finally commit to saying, I'm not just going to receive for myself alone, which is Mitzrayim, Egypt, which is narrowness. Ego is narrowness. I only think about one thing, just the immediate gratification. But what about the other factors? I don't care about the other factors. Immediate gratification. That's narrow-mindedness. Leaving Egypt, the Israelites were ready to accept upon themselves the expansiveness of love thy neighbor, of a life of community, of a life of love, loving the Creator, loving others, being kind even when it's not convenient. So what does love thy neighbor really mean, and how do we get there? How do we get there? Because it's that love that really influences, right? You would never be in service if you're not interested in bettering other people. And how can I create more benefit to others? How can I do something for the world? If you don't like someone, you don't want to do for them. You don't like the world, you don't want to do for the world. So the idea of service and love and influence is really all one. Now Rav Ashlag says something absolutely insane, and I think we all need to read this. This is the last 4 pages of On World Peace. So I know I'm very hesitant to read books, but this is not a book. It's 4 pages. I think we can all manage that. 4 pages. Rav Ashlag says that if you want apples, what kind of seed do you need to plant? An apple seed. Okay. And oranges? Orange seed. Okay. So hear me out. If you want to develop more love thy neighbor, what kind of seed do you need? A love seed, right? If you want to develop more love, the fruits, the end of the process is, I love more. I'm in service more. I'm sharing more. I'm influencing more. So for that, I need seeds of love, seeds of consciousness, seeds of wisdom, seeds of, saying no to me and yes to others. More actions that say no to me and yes to others eventually I'll get to this place. I thought the same thing. Rav Ashlag says no. Rav Ashlag says that in order to have love, in order to have influence, in order to be a spiritual person, the only way to have a fruit of love and influence and service is to have an excessive ego. An excessive ego is the only seed that when you develop it enough, becomes a tree and fruits of influence, sharing, and love. Im kol hachesronot shebo, with all of its flaws, and ego, excessive ego has a lot of flaws, jealousy, ta'ava, kavod, lust, desire for respect, pride, ego, with all of its flaws, yet it is the only thing that is able to develop properly, to become a tree of love. So how does this happen? How does this make any sense? So Rav Ashlag makes this very clear. שמתחילה צריך להתחזק באהבת עצמו בשיעור מלא. The beginning of our spiritual path does not begin in Kabbalah 1. The part of our spiritual path does not begin when we understand that we have a soul and that there's a purpose and we need to share more. The beginning of our spiritual work is when we look at our life and I say, how can I improve my life more? How can I love my life more? How can I develop myself more? כי טבע האדם מנעוריו להיות עצל, אפילו במה שמגיע לטובתו עצמו. Our nature, even though we teach this, right? We teach that our nature is desire to receive for the self alone. I teach that. Rav Ashlag teaches that. That's what our nature is we want it for ourselves alone. Comes Rav Ashlag and says, actually it's not. We would rather not do any work and neglect ourselves than do a little bit of work to better our life. For the self alone, by the way. For the self alone. The self alone, and maybe it's the generation we're in, maybe we've always been like this, but even to be selfish requires effort. And our ego would rather just neglect everything. I'll do the minimum, but in terms of improving even more, if it's not in my face, if it's not a burning thing that's urgent, I'm not going to do it. But it's for your life. Now think about where we do this. We do this with our health. Isn't it better for your health to not live in this way and not do X, Y, and Z? Shouldn't you stop? And all that stress is taxing on the body. Shouldn't you relax? No, but I have to do. Neglect. Let's take a second and think, what areas of our life do we neglect? Do we say, it requires a little effort, not going to do it, even if it's for the self alone? Whatever we neglect, we cannot influence with others. We cannot help others. We're only as powerful in terms of sharing as we take care of ourselves, as we love ourselves. Again, self-love is kind of a different category. When Rav Ashlag says self-love, it means self-motivated. Self-motivated. What's in it for me? But that's the root. That's the seed of it all. If I want to expand and say, this year, I want to matter more. I want to influence more people. I want to be a bigger conduit of light. So what do? Cancel myself out? Yes, eventually, but not right away. Because canceling yourself out, canceling your own desires without properly wanting it for yourself alone is not called sharing, it's called neglect. It's called negligence. We are not in the business of self-neglect, we are in the business of sharing. And how do we expand our sharing? We look inside. We look inside and we say, how can I overcome the ego that makes me narrow-minded and only care about immediate, instant gratification. The steps are: grow yourself, grow your ability to improve oneself, improve your life in every area, even if it's for the self alone. And then Rav Ashlag says, and then you start going up the ladder of saying, okay, now that I've taken care of myself, again, not I need to live 80 years and make sure that I'm financially free, whatever that means, and then I'll start giving something. That's not what we're saying. What Rav Ashlag is saying is that once you start to take care and influence yourself, you can use the same tool that you've used, the same tool, to help others. So I'll give you an immediate example. Okay? Okay. I want to be a better teacher, right? That's ego. Stop it. Just be a channel. Don't think about being better. What are you talking about? I need to improve myself in my relationship. Just give. Just speak from the heart. Don't even think about yourself. Think about yourself less. Neglect yourself. No. Taking care of oneself and improving oneself, which is pushing against the ego of neglect. Now I can use that to share. When we come to Shavuot and we're saying and we're downloading this ability to say, I am going to be an Am Sgula. I'm part of this nation that's the role model nation, the nation of the ones that are able to channel light and blessings to the world. I can only channel to others and give to others to the degree that I give to myself. To the degree that I give to myself, which is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It doesn't naturally sound spiritual to say, I'm going to push myself to go to the gym, I'm going to push myself to improve myself. It doesn't sound inherently spiritual. It sounds much more spiritual to do literal spiritual actions. Before we download a new understanding of Shavuot and understanding of our spiritual work, we have to do, at least the starting point, is look at whatever spiritual actions you are hiding behind. What spiritual action are we hiding behind? How many times do we share thinking it's spiritual, but really, we're just neglecting ourselves? What we really need to do is do something even more difficult than sharing, and it's having a conversation. Not confrontation. Okay, we don't like that word anymore, apparently, but just a conversation. Hey, I need to, this isn't working for me. Isn't working for me, that's a selfish thing. But if neglect is not sharing, that differentiation must be extremely clear before we start to commit to a life of sharing. Because if we commit to a life of sharing, before we've identified neglect, we're committing to a life of neglect. So from today, we need to commit to improving oneself. Rav Ashlag says that instant gratification, laziness, is narrow ego. You don't go from narrow ego to sharing. There's an in-between. He calls that expansive ego. What's expansive ego? It's, immediate money, that's selfish, right? Expansive ego is, you know what? If I invest in my retirement, long term, it's going to be better for me. If I'm kind to an individual, even though in the moment, if I'm kind, it's going to get back to me. I don't want to suffer in my relationship. I don't want to suffer in my community. Being reactive is bad for me. Not just, being reactive. It hurts others. Don't do it. Don't be mean to people. It's bad for you. That's sharing. Sorry, it's bad for them. No, it's bad for you. Think about how it and if you've noticed, by the way, the beginning of spirituality, the way the Rav taught it, the Rav and Karen taught it, it was always about improving your life. The spiritual work is not about pleasing anybody or, improve your life. That's step one. Identify neglect. Commit to improving your life in every area. And then we can become channels of influence of light to others. Shabbat Shalom.
There we have it. And the reason why I wanted to play that is, so many of us have heard that we must do away with our ego. But what Rav Ashlag is saying is that no, the ego must be developed and then transformed from desire to receive for the self alone to desire to receive for the sake of sharing. So if somebody come and tell you, say you got a big ego or your ego too big, say, well, oh, that's good, thank you. Just work on transforming it, that's all. Right? Like when my wife come and tell me, say my ego too big. I say, good. It takes a big ego to transform the world and to change the world. To be bold enough to say that you're going to do that. Yeah, that takes big ego. So I'm glad I have it. All right, friends. Wow. This is the longest we've gone. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Whoa. Anything before we say goodbye to our listeners? Yes, Peter.
People, it's not a hard task, No.
What is that a hard task?
To come to the source. Yeah. It is recognition. Yeah. And the not acting on emotion without the benefit of intellect and reasoning. And what value do you place on the decisions you make? Critical thinking, how it affects you, your family, your environment, your community in a positive way.
And you're telling me that's not a hard thing to do?
Is it, as I said before, Marcus Garvey have another saying, one who wants to do something will find a way. Another man who will find like you.
There it is. The person who wants to do it. The person who wants to do it. That's it. The person who wants to do it. If it wasn't hard, Peter, more people would do it.
Right now, I can't. The reason for me not say more people would do it because of an inevitable fact. A lot of us are lost for millenniums, man, because we have been fed an incorrect belief systems. It has been inculcated in us and all sort of things, man. So now we are reshaping our belief systems. Some of us may move faster than others. However, I'm just giving them a channel, right? Well, they can go to it even quicker. Then I have to go through, just make up your mind, man. I want to do this. When you get up in the morning, just look into the mirror. Yes, let's look. You can get goosebumps when you do that. Just look into the mirror and tell yourself that. Look into the mirror, man, before you go to bed at night. Tell yourself that, man. Tell yourself that you're 75% of us is water, and water carries memory. So talk to yourself, man. The water, listen to me now. This is an esoteric speaking here now. The water on us is symbolically, metaphorically, any way you want to look at it, is Malkut, the woman. Speak to her, man, and she will nurture you. Yes, which is most of us, because the Rab refers to we are a way where it's in all of us. So speak to that part of us that blankets us, that nurtures us, and all that, the whole of our skin. And speak to it, man. And it will resonate and speak to it and with a voice of love. Because I think I've said this before. Love is the language. Yes, love is the language of the frequency of our potential DNA. Our potential DNA on the musical scale, spelled with certain letters that spell the name of the Most High. So keep saying love.
Love is the answer. Love is the answer, and I agree with you 100%. And love is a language. So yeah,
start with self.
Yeah, yeah.
But and I thought we can't blame them, Josh, man. We can't blame the people, man.
No, we can't. We really can't. Because why? Because we know the power of the Satan.
Yes.
I agree with you. We can't blame them, and that's why we have to have compassion. right?
Be careful, always speak. Careful, always speak to people.
Yeah.
There's a saying when we talk to people certain type of way, we have no shame. And people who don't have any shame lack empathy. And people who lack empathy don't have the ability to embrace human compassion. And that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you're
you're
right.
speaking to us
You're
now.
right. We need empathy and we need compassion. So, you know, that is why, you know, people like me exist. Because we have to blow a trumpet in Zion. We have to help people to wake up. Right? Help them to wake up. Jolt them.
You see, when love disappear, when love disappear, faith disappear with love. And when faith disappear with love, doubt take charge. And when doubt take charge, it brings in fear. And when you bring in fear, fear is a thing that people fight. We make people fight because they fear. So which is the absence of love. You understand? And it's normally out of wants. Yes, and listen to me.
Yeah. It comes down to ignorance.
Yeah, millennium and millenniums worth of mind conditioning. I'm telling you, it didn't just start now, man. We have been doped up, man, for years and walking up and down as zombies and not recognizing the God within us. The Rab said the last time we are dead. We are conscious of, but we're not conscious of being conscious.
But you know, it goes beyond. Listen, I agree with you that, you know, this is a long time coming. I agree with you that misinformation has been spinning for a long time, right? But you can't use that excuse with Adam. It just goes to show you the power of the Satan. And it was out of ignorance. You see, he didn't know. You remember it says that the scripture says that they were naked and they were not ashamed. They didn't know they were naked. That word naked means subtle. It's the same word that is used to describe the Satan, the serpent. They were subtle and didn't know it. They didn't know that this thing existed within them. So you see, what happened in the garden had to happen. They had to fall. Because that is the process. You receive first, then you let it go. You lose it.
How many hours after Adam was created did he fall? I think Rabbi
6 hours.
6 hours, yeah. Rabbi Friedman says 6 hours.
6. Imagine that. 6.
Yeah, 6 hours after hours, in the earth too long. And you call the man in the trouble already. 6 hours.
But you see, it was destined to happen. It was supposed to happen. Okay? It was supposed to happen.
Listen to me. Some people said it. All right. The word replenish means to fill over, and the instructions was given unto Adam to replenish. Replenish what? I put more people.
Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth.
No. I was listening to something that day. He said Adam had to come the way in come to free some people, you know.
Wait, say that again.
The Rabbi Friedman, I was listening to a lecture some years ago with Rabbi Friedman. And Rabbi Friedman was saying the state within which Adam had to come that way to free a generation. That's why he had to come that way.
But hold on. Wait, hold on. But Adam was the first. So who him come to release? That make no sense.
The reason for that saying, you know, is that when Cain did what he did, he went away and found a wife. Yes.
No, wait. Hold on. No. Cain didn't have to go nowhere to find a wife. He was born with a wife.
As I said before, the reason for that saying, there's no mention anywhere in the scriptures that Cain was born with a wife or had a wife. There was no mention.
Which scriptures are you reading? You got to be careful what you're reading. Okay,
as I
because
said before,
the sages teach us. Okay, it's not in the Christian Bible that we have, right? But it is known that Cain and Abel were born with twin sisters.
I'm Josh. You're preaching to the converted, you know. No,
Okay,
as I'm saying,
so when you say
as I said
nowhere it
before,
was written, not
no,
in the
it's not
books
really.
that we've been given, but it's there.
Yes. So the whole gist of the matter is that there were other people there for the word replenish to even exist. To even exist, for that saying to come out and say, go forward and multiply and replenish. There had to be something there. What was there before Adam and Eve?
Well, you could see the word replenish as being when you use it up or when you consume, make sure you put it back. That's another word, another definition of replenish.
Nothing was being used. I know, but nothing has been used. They just got there, G. They just got there.
Well,
Yes, they
well,
just got
well.
there. And multiply and make other people. That was what the commandment was, you know. That, because I studied that because that one of the most important tenets in the faith of Judaism, marriage.
All right, you know what?
They're very important.
This is what I want you to do. I want you to go and find the original Hebrew word for that word replenish. Okay? And next week, Tuesday, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Because that's what you really have to do, because replenish is an English translation. We have to go to the original and find out what that word replenish really means. And then we can discuss that. Yeah? Agreed? All right.
Yeah, man.
All right. That's how we have to do it, man. All right, everyone. Just said, thank you so much for being here. Brother Akash, as always. Peter, thank you for your contributions always. And Brother Sean, thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. And remember, keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah, we'll give that. I never say have a wonderful week, because the word speaks for itself. How about a wonderful strong? Yes. Remember.
Well,
people love talk about weekend.
Peter,
People love to talk about weekend. Well, it's just and humorous. Just
yeah.
People that talk about good weekend. No, the Friday is the beginning of something, because them said the evening and the morning was the first day, so it could have never been the ending of anything. And you're not weak either, because on the Friday and Shabbat is when we rest to get strength. So we're not really weak, we're getting strong.
Hold on.
On the new beginning.
You're playing with words, because week doesn't have to be WEAK.
I know that.
Okay, then. So that's how you decide to take it.
You know the reason for me saying that is because you just spoke about replenish. And the English meaning for replenish is one thing different from the Aramaic or the Hebrew translation.
Could be. We don't know.
And you gave me my homework. So I'm telling you something different.
So hold on a second. So what word would you use to describe the 7 days?
The 7 days? The seventh day?
No, not seventh day. The 7 days, which is a week.
No, it's a strong one. It's a strong, because when everything was completed, everything was strong. It could never be weak.
But Peter, you're using WEAK. That's how you choose. Hold on. That's how you choose to interpret what I'm saying. But there's another word, WEEK, which doesn't mean the other week, right? It means 7 days.
I know that, Josh. Though it doesn't mean that, it may not mean that. Listen to this now. I say something and I never really mean it that way. For example, you think the spirit or the energy out there knows the difference?
Yes.
No. I speak. Listen to me. No, the vibration coming from it is one and the same. From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speak it. So the word will resonate the same. One word can't have two meanings. One word pronounced, it may be spelled two different ways, from a linguistic standpoint, Josh. Totally from a linguistic standpoint. totally, because every word has letters, and every letter spells something, and every word that you speak can cast a spell or make you feel some way, Jack. That is a fact. We
That yes,
can't go
I
around it.
agree with
And
you.
for that reason, that's why I'm say strong beginning instead of a
Okay,
weekend,
all
because
right,
word
Peter.
sounds and power.
No problem.
That's all I'm saying.
I will let that go. I could continue to argue it because guess what? Depending if the word WEAK and its meaning was not in somebody's vocabulary, then they would not feel that way.
The English language is a mongrel language, so we have to accept it like that. Not like Hebrew or Aramaic. So when English language can say one word mean many things, beard, there, and mean many different things. When Elohim is just one thing. It can't mean nothing else, no matter how you want to deal with
That
it.
is true.
So we have to right. So and for that reason, I can't still stand the way I am right now. I can, because it means many things, and I can
And
for
that's the
that
same
reason.
reason. That's the same reason why when you use the word Christ to describe Jesus, right? I say that was not his name, right? But because people have gotten used to it, you see, this is where it comes from. People have gotten used to using that name to describe Jesus when that was not his name, because the word Christ is Greek for Christos, which means the anointed one, right? You see the same thing? You use the word Christ to describe Jesus because that's what you're used to.
Is it it is the consciousness rather than the this anointed whatever, because even in the New Testament it speaks about a people who are not Israelite, who are not blood, and came through just by the faith what them have in God, and with the saying was so what God has left the people them and forsake them. Them say no, me I do not forget them jealous and all of that stuff. So the blessings can come on to the Gentiles also. Yes. So these things are saying that people who were called through the blood because of the promise, rather, but like Abraham and Sarah, that generation came
I'm
through
glad you
the
corrected.
promise.
I'm glad you corrected yourself instead of using blood, using promise, because
That
blood
promise,
have nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that promise, yes,
Mhm.
that promise. It should you have seed that came through the promise, and
Mhm.
others that came through just by having the faith, who were not off the line of the promised people them, and these people were engrafted. Yes, the Gentile nation was engrafted into the teachings of Judaism. Yes, from an olive tree, a wild olive tree.
Well,
Yes, a wild olive tree.
hold on a second. You know, we're getting into things here that you're just making this prolong. Listen, on Mount Sinai, you know, all nations were there. Okay, at Mount Sinai, all nations were represented. So when the Torah was given, all nations had an opportunity to accept it. So when you say, hold on, when you say that the promise, okay, the promise, because remember, you know, all people have an opportunity to become a son of God. All people. It's just your
We know
consciousness.
it, Josh. We know it, but it's only one set of people the teaching was given unto. Yes, other people had
No,
it
what I
in
just
their
said,
own. Right.
no, what I just
All right.
said is that all nations were represented at Mount Sinai. It's not just
Yes.
one set of people. It's not the Jews alone were given it. All nations were represented at Mount Sinai. That is what we're taught. So nobody can
Okay.
say, so the Jews can't say, you see, that's why, you see, it's that misconception why the Jews call themselves the chosen people.
I don't subscribe. I don't subscribe to that for one simple reason, that I know the geographical location of certain things and certain places on the earth. Yes. No. I don't like getting into this one because it's so deep.
Yeah, we're going off on into tangents and things. But again, and the reason why I'm pointing these things out is because, you see, we have a particular understanding. And everything, like I said earlier, everything needs to be reviewed through the lens of Kabbalah. Not what we were taught before or what we thought we heard before. There's nothing wrong with having those thoughts or those concepts, but we must analyze them through the lens of Kabbalah.
You know
All
what
right.
I read, Josh? And
Yeah.
I see the similarities of Judaism in many, 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 many different other faiths
Sure,
throughout
of
the world.
course. But the no
Yeah.
one God, and the God is
Ah,
the one God.
so for that saying no, yes, for that saying no, is that when we view all these things from the various aspects of life, yes, from the various aspects of life. We should not, you're rightfully say, given into divisions and separations from the whole and the same of one thing, and try to differentiate ourselves from each other. And I preach that in a group that I am in, religion, God and you. And we have all different type of people, Christians, Jews, Muslim, Rasta, all different type of people in there. And I've always been screaming at them, and I said, we all ascribe to one thing: love, peace, joy, happiness, shalom, this, assalamu alaikum, Jesus is Lord, Prince of Peace. We all subscribe to all that, and yet still we all can't get
Mm.
along.
You
Do
keep
you
you
know
keep you
one
keep
thing?
saying these things that cause me to respond. When you say Jesus is Lord, again.
No, no, I'm saying the people that listen to me, man. As
Oh,
I said,
okay,
this is what
okay.
the
This is
people
what
need
some
to
people
know.
are saying. Okay, okay, okay.
Right. And people saying all sort of things. Then people are saying Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Selassie, all sort of things, right?
Okay.
And I'm letting them know that no matter what we are screaming in this group, we are screaming the same thing in our own little way. And let me explain something to you. We all have the same one enemy, Satan.
Indeed.
All of us.
And that's
All
why
of us.
none of us need to be his soldier. 'Cause he's got enough power. He don't need our help.
And as I say, when we put each other down, that's one sure
Yeah,
way to.
not good.
I tell people I don't criticize no Muslims. I don't criticize no Israelites. Well, see, some people that I don't criticize no Israelites. I don't criticize no Christians. I don't criticize no one. Yeah, because no one can really come to me and tell me, say, him alone have the only truth on earth. I would be naive to think that.
I agree.
I, I
100%.
would be naive to think that is just you alone have the truth, because
I agree.
this truth is spread throughout the whole world. The Buddhists have part of it, the Hindus have part of it, the next man up my bush over there so have some part of it, and the whole of we have part of it. And when we come together, when all of us come together, it is known as the omnipotence or the omnipresence or the omniscience of the Most High, because we're all come together as one. This
Well, that's the mission.
90%, 99%, but we can't see.
That's the mission.
Yes.
That's the mission. All right. So, good night, everyone. And thank you, Peter, always for your contributions. Yeah?
Give thanks. Yes. Yeah, man. Give thanks.
Blessed. Have a strong. Okay.
Have a strong five. 2 more days
2 more
coming up.
days.
You
Yes,
know,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
To Shabbat.
Next week Friday is my Earth Strong.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and,
Okay.
and yeah, and my mom was born on the 6th, so her one is Friday, and my son was born on the 14th. Yeah,
Okay. Well,
and my niece was
blessed
born on
earth
the
strong.
16th, and
Blessed
my
earth
dad was
strong to all of
born.
you.
Yeah, do you know we're all Levites, right?
If you say so.
You know, yeah, we're all Levites. I read my Kabbalah. I was born in that time, the month of Levite. I know what I'm talking about, G. Come on, man.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, um, there are people who are, born in certain time frames who don't know who they are. So I'm
I
glad
know.
that you know who you are.
Yeah.
All right, my brethren. Blessed love. Good night, everyone.
Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks.
And to
Give
our
thanks.
listeners on World Vibes Radio, thank you for hanging out with us. Come back again. We're here every Tuesday and Wednesday night from 7 p.m. Jamaica time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And see, tonight we went for almost 3 hours. We have that liberty at World Vibes Radio. So if you want to get in touch with me, you want to join our WhatsApp group, our study group, Kabbalah for Jamaicans, you can give me a call at country code +1 516 965 5700. Again, country code +1 516 965 5700. Or you can check out our website, www.kabbalahforjamaicans.com. That's KABBALAH, the number 4, and Jamaicans, JAMAICANS, Kabbalah for Jamaicans. Another website that you might want to check out is zohar.com. That's ZOHAR.com, where you can learn everything about the Zohar, as well as the Kabbalah Center's website. That's Kabbalah.com, KABBALAH.com. Again, this is Joshua. Have a wonderful, wonderful next few days, and we'll see you again next week. One love.